Today on the compliance tip of the day, we're going to look at some current M&A issues under the FCPA from the domestic perspective. The compliance tip of the day. This is the podcast where we bring you daily insights and practical advice on navigating the ever-evolving landscape of compliance requirements. Whether you're a seasoned compliance professional or just starting your journey, my aim in this podcast is to provide you with a bite-sized, actionable tip to help you stay on top of your compliance game. And now I'd like to say a few words about the latest podcast on the Compliance Podcast Network, AI Today in 5 with 5. Thrilled to announce the inaugural episode of my latest podcast series, AI Today in 5. I wanted to do a short, curated set of stories and news stories about AI for the compliance professional and the greater business professional. You can check it out on Megaphone, the Compliance Podcast Network, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple, or wherever great podcasts are listened to. Check out AI Today in 5. We've been taking a look at pre-acquisition due diligence this week on the compliance tip of the day, and I wanted to conclude with some sort of final thoughts on this topic, as it is about as important as you can get in the M&A world. You need to always consider the types of due diligence you need to pursue in any acquisition, as due diligence is the process about getting smart about someone or an entity with whom you are entering into business. There are different types of due diligence: financial, operational, IT, compliance, ethics, and reputational. And broadly, issues in the background of a company or an individual could be reputational damaging to you if you do not take a look into them. The first step in conducting pre-acquisition due diligence is to determine what the risks are across a wide variety of factors. In determining the potential risk, you can move towards an appropriate level of due diligence. However, the level of due diligence can change, so it needs to be a flexible process. You listen to, take time to look at the kinds of risks that are involved in particular transactions and hiring to help inform the level of due diligence. Of course, something comes up in a due diligence investigation, it should be evaluated in an updated context. A due diligence investigation is there to provide facts, not make decisions. This should be a fact-finding exercise. A couple of the real keys are understanding a client's purpose and priorities, but for the purpose, thinking as much about the background and context as you can get as investigators or due diligence investigators coming in. It's to make you look as well as you can at the subject matter. Understanding a client's priorities are also a useful piece of information, as ultimately the report produced as to what kinds of issues the client should consider versus the normal course of business. For example, there are certain industries where a high volume of certain types of litigation is very normal and not really an issue of concern. Here you would want to know going in so that you wouldn't focus unnecessarily on details that may not be as important. The bottom line is taking a deep dive due diligence will generate a long written report. It can be as long as 20 or 30 pages. And you need to figure out a way to present it to your audience, whether it's a board of directors or senior management, in a way that will present the information yet not overwhelm them with data. It turns on the conversations you have. Some will want a lot of detail. Others, perhaps only a high-level summary. So what are today's 3 key takeaways? Number 1, do not skip on due diligence just because it seems like it may slow things down. The risks you take on by not conducting it are as great as it can be. 2, the job of an investigator is to give you as much information as you can. You can make the informed decision knowing the investigation or information up front doesn't kill a deal, but it will prepare you for the outcomes you may not have been expecting. And then number 3, always remember an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Make sure you have a handle on problems that will occur down the line, and this can be the difference between success and failure. One of the things that I'm happy to do for you, the compliance profession, is if you have a question or a series of questions you would like some compliance tips on, I'm happy to take any requests that you might want, certainly anonymize them, and give you a quick tip, either one quick tip or maybe a week's worth of quick tips. So if you have any tips you want about your compliance program, you can shoot me an email at tfox@tfoxlaw.com. This podcast was created and produced